really cool. I think we also need more people to come to these practice groups, but everything will flow organically. And yeah, also as I have been a little bit like um, with my bandwidth at top, like also I didn't made a tweet about this session today, so maybe um, people won't be so informed, but the ones that are here is the people that specifically made the commitment to participate. So yeah, we're here.
Yeah, in the
Cool.
open space scene, we like to say whoever shows up are the right people. So, you know, that's what's up.
Agreed.
So, Lean, do you want to kick us off and welcome us into the
Yes,
space?
I wrote an inclusive welcome. I love doing those, as you've noticed. So, welcome everyone in the fifth session only of Graviton Space. Oh, wow. Okay, to the fifth session. Welcome to the regulars. Thanks for coming back. I don't think we have any newcomers. I'd like to do a special welcome today to feelings of being puzzled, feelings of chaos in your head, to feelings of I have absolutely no idea. Well, welcome to every frustration, to every smile, every tear, and all kindness that is showing when you feel nothing less than stuck. Maybe you feel a lot like this, or maybe only yesterday, or maybe you ignore these feelings. Maybe you welcome them and you just let them be. A special welcome to every time you cannot make a decision because you want and not or. And you see all sides, and they all have benefits and bad sides. Welcome to making the wrong choices when that happens, and short feedback loops or very long feedback loops, resilience, recovery. Welcome to all feelings of it will never change, and welcome to equanimity. I have to include a little bit my Indian guru in my inclusive welcome, who said equanimity for 10 days, 100 times a day when I was doing my vipassana. And then the last one, a special note to all people who share astrology as a hobby. I'm not surprised that we are going to talk about paradox and stuff today, because this week is crazy. The gate of storm and crisis, gate 36 for people that know, located in your emotional chakra, is wide open and activated by the sun and by Neptune. So if you're feeling like, what the hell is going on? I feel exhausted, drained, tired, and I want to cry all the time and scream, or somebody close to you is feeling all of that, blame the planets. It is always the planets. Maybe we can welcome them as well and how they impact and sometimes just fuck up the energy in the space, right? So a special welcome to them as well. And with that, I give the word to Jeremy.
All right, gang. Well, we're going to jump right into it. Get it hot. So, first, we're going to start off with an exercise called Wicked Questions. And that is we're going to brainstorm a list. So first solo and then in the group. Actually, I think we can go in pairs. Lean, if you want to jump into the action. But first solo, when it comes to practicing liberating structures, what qualities, traits, and characteristics would make learning easier? So just go ahead and take note for yourself around this invitation. So when it comes to practicing to use liberating structures, what qualities, traits, and characteristics would make learning easier? So we'll just take a couple minutes and you can jot down your own list. And does anybody need more time? All right. Then I will invite you to split into Juan and Lean. Do you guys want to hang out here while Bianca or no, actually, let's switch this up. Zepti, you hang out here with Lean and myself, while Juan and Bianca, will you guys jump into another channel and just compare lists and see if you can add any new items based on the inspiration. And if you, yep, that's it. So come back here at the 5-minute, 15 past mark. And Zepti and Lean. So just ignore me and compare wish lists.
Oh, my mic was not open. I actually was struggling a little bit. Like I was thinking, making liberate. Like the only thing, like I feel like people could not learn about liberating structures. Like people who is like very, I don't know the English word, but they stick with the old systems. Having the boss and everything, and they cannot think over that. So the only, what came to my mind is like people. The only requirement is like having an open mind, and then to make it, yeah, now I'm thinking differently, to make it easier. Like I feel like what you guys are doing, it's actually very nice because you're to make it easier. Like I feel like the best way is like uh, making examples and putting people in the spot right now. Like right now in the spot and I'm thinking different like I was thinking some seconds ago. So yeah, I think putting people in the spot make the learning experience easier.
That's interesting. Thanks, Zepti. And what was on your list, Lean?
An open mind. So we've got that one in similar.
Give me 5 clock.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a list. Regular meeting hours, like a schedule that helps me learn. Like then we're gonna practice, and so a team, so other people to practice with, to reflect with other people, and maybe even people that are coming back, so that you form a bit of a feeling that you form a group or a team, that you can build up a little bit of trust and create a bit of a safe, brave space together, where you get to know each other a little bit deeper every time. I love learning in those environments. A theoretical framework. I love attaching what I learn to a framework or to a theory or to a deeper lying purpose. And the more philosophical it gets, the more I love it. But yeah. practice and exercise, the opportunity to practice and then come back and maybe reflect on that in the team. Then the best way for me to learn is teaching it myself, so that I have to explain to others. And then the open minds and a slow pace. I start appreciating slow pace more and more. Time and space instead of the hurry. That was it.
Awesome. So, Zepti and Lean, in response to each other's lists, is there anything else that comes to your mind?
Hmm. Not right now, but I really think what Lynn just said about teaching it is the best way. I also feel like this applies to almost everything. Like when you're teaching someone, like it feels like what you're telling the other ones is impregnated in you, and it helps so much to remember.
So, +5 on teaching it. And I like how that sort of resonates with Zepti with your point about some form of pressure, right? Like the spotlight that you described to me is like some form of like teaching in the same way. Gives me that same sort of reaction of like, oh shit, like it pushes me outside of that nice, warm, safe space of that I'd like to be in so much.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's also having. I mean, it just came to my mind now, but having a purpose to liberate the structure. Like when you have the purpose, people get more interested, right? Like because like if people, and it goes back to the open mind, because if people is like, this is working fine, we don't need to change anything, and then uh, they don't have a purpose to learn about liberating structures. So having a purpose and the more pressure in this purpose, like to change things, it's happening. It's more more probably like people will be learning it easier.
Yeah, so motivation sounds like
Yeah.
strong sense of motivation. Oh, well, a bounce. So that is the link to the slides in the chat. And this is the interesting part, right? So it feels like real life. How do we, yeah, I guess we just wait. Yeah. Oh, well.
What was the timing?
17. So
Yeah.
how do we poke them? Do I jump into their thing and say, hey, what are you
Go
guys
be the
doing?
teacher. Go be the teacher.
Yeah, there we go.
Hello.
Hi.
So now we cross pollinate, right? So we had two groups that basically made a little bit of a laundry list about what qualities, traits, and characteristics help learning and practicing to use liberating structures. So which group wants to go first?
So me and Juan, we talked about easier way that we could learn something. So we talked about like visualizing and like having examples and maybe like interaction helps us learning something better. And I also say that like in psychology we have an example that like for complicated stuff, if you use like a game or some kind of interaction, you can learn something that's very complicated in an easier way.
Hmm, cool. So games and interactions, visualizations, and examples.
Yeah.
This helps us
Yeah,
learn.
when we put in practice and we're not just like listening or reading, when you like really put in practice.
Cool. Active
Also,
practice.
inclusion, like when you don't get a word that someone is speaking, he might say like 99 words, but you just stick with the one word you didn't understand, and that affects like I also told Bianca that my experience with understanding the bonding curve is that when people spoke, for me it was difficult to understand, and when I really got it was when I started like looking at the graphics and on the visualizations of the bonding curve, and then that's where I could understand.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes wrestling with what you don't understand actually helped bring you to an understanding as well. Interesting. Lean and Zepti, do you guys want to share your laundry lists?
Yeah, for us, like we were discussing, like it's very important, like having an open mind for learning, and then yeah, it's nice to see like how when we split it, it's totally different because we were thinking more in like teamwork, having regular course organization, motivation, a little bit of pressure. We were more centering in the individual state and not so much in the mechanics to accomplish that. So it's nice to see the both points and yeah, and connect the dots.
Hmm. So we
I
have
agree.
some diversion in thinking as well. What was that, Lean? Sorry to step on you.
Yeah, no, no worries. I agree. Yeah. We also had like teaching it yourself to learn something. It's always a good way of learning. A theoretical framework to attach things to or content that you're learning. Um, a brave space to practice where you feel a bit of trust to make mistakes, maybe also. And yeah. And then the rest was mentioned by Zipti, I think. Motivation, a slow pace, not too fast. Yeah.
Awesome. I've been trying to scribe for you guys in the Gravity channel because a laundry list, this listing this stuff will make this next step a little bit easier. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these qualities, these characteristics, these traits, these tools, and we're going to try and create a wicked question. And the wicked question is going to use this following format. So how is it that we are or that we have A and Z at the same time? So if you go to the Gravity channel and start picking out those different qualities, traits, characteristics, environmental contexts, try and find two of them that have some form of polarity that feel a little bit like oil and water, that have a difference that while they're both good, we want both of them, don't seem like they want to go together so well. Try and jam them in this format, and let's see who can come up with the most wicked question that makes you go, "Damn! How do we do that?" So let's just take a minute. And like I said, you can see the list of stuff in the Gravity channel. And feel free, of course, to add to this, right? If you can grab one item and look for a polarity within it, awesome.
I think I want to say an open-minded and games and interactions.
An open mind. How is it that we have an open mind and games and interactions at the same time? Hmm, cool. Anybody else?
I have one too. How is it that we need some pressure to learn and at the same time we need a slow pace and take it easy?
Word, there's some wickedness in there. And could you guys leave these in the Gravity channel text as well, so that we've got a sort of record?
Jeremy, can I maybe take some notes like in a Google slide?
Please.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Can we find a wicked question in this list of stuff?
Can you explain again, Jeremy? I am seeing the phrases like some pressure spotlight, teaching it myself, a slow practice.
Yeah, so what we're looking for is to find two of these different. So we have a laundry list of all of what is ostensibly, this is all good stuff, right? All of the stuff on this list is good qualities that help us learn and practice how to use liberating structures. And what we're looking for is a particular type of relationship between two items on the list that makes us go, ooh, that's actually really hard to do both of these things at the same time. Does
Okay.
that help clarify things for you, Juan?
What
Yeah.
about how is it that we are teaching it to myself, but then what is was a safe group to practice? Like I feel like not everyone can teach in a group, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how is it that you're teaching it yourself and that we have a and that there's a safe group to practice and learn?
One of the things that we I also said with Bianca was regarding time, that everything needs a commitment of time, and learning requires time. So how can we like learn but at the same time, um like not like do it fast.
Yeah, right. How do we take the time to learn, but also like, yeah, I think I get what you're coming around. Like, how is it that we take the time to learn, but also do it as fast as possible?
Mm.
Man, this is a beautiful, wicked question, Juan. Thank you.
Yeah, like it would be really cool if we can have like a peel with a book, and you just. By the way, I will be reading the book Lean for our Thursday session. I will start today.
Awesome. So we've got what I feel like two pretty solid, wicked questions, right? So Wonka, you bring in this. How is it that we take our time to learn while like learning as fast as possible? There is something in there that makes me go, ooh, yeah. Those are fast and slow at the same time. How do we bring those things together, right? And also, how is it that what was it, Lean? How do we have a a safe space to practice?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and yet have a little bit of pressure at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So these are both interesting and wicked questions. And if I think about it, yeah, for the moment, that's good enough. All right. So I want to invite you guys to however we have it documented, um, pick one of these two wicked questions that we'll focus on a little bit later. But first, let's move on to a little bit of a story time. So once upon a time, there were two Stone Age tribes, Pyrrhus and Linden. And both of these Stone Age tribes were virtually identical. In both tribes, they used the same five basic tools. They had hammer stones, they had bone, like antler awls to punch holes and needles. They used uh, hand axes. They used, now I forget my damn story. What else did they use? I'm gonna have to look up my other doc. Shit, this makes me feel foolish. Thanks, guys.
No pressure.
No, I'll practice my patience with myself. Go back to the well. Yeah, that's what they had. They had those five tools. So they had hammer stones, hand axes, stone flakes. That's the one I'm missing. So like little sharp pieces of rock, and they had wooden spears. And that's and these five tools they used for everything. This was like the height of their cultural technology. And then one day, an alien spacecraft comes down and of course it terrifies. First it visits Pyrrhus, and it terrifies the chieftain and the elders. For some reason everyone else in the tribe was gone, and only the chieftain and the elders were introduced to this alien. And this alien offers, first calms them down, de-escalates, and then shows them that it's here to offer them a gift of these magnificent tools. And it opens up this tool chest, and inside the tool chest is all types of different tools: screwdrivers, wrenches, hammers, nails, glue, rope, saws, drills, like all of these tools that we take completely for granted. And then the chieftain and his elders and his five elders were just completely blown away. And then the alien says to the chieftain, he goes, well, so how many of them do you want? And the chieftain and the elders, they gather together, they huddle up, and they go, yeah, these are incredible. Yeah, this is fantastic. And so they go back to the alien and they say, you know, each of us will take one box, and since I'm the chieftain, I'll take two. And then the chieftain and the elders, of course, they're very possessive over these tools, and they only loan them out to people, in very specific moments when it benefits them, and when they're there to sort of pay attention and mind that the tools don't get broken. They're used very preciously and scarcely. And it takes Pyrrhus 3 million years to evolve into the Bronze Age. Now, the alien then takes his cart over to Linden at the same time, and for some whatever weird reason, everybody else except for the village elder and his chieftains is also gone. And so he makes the same presentation, shows all of the wonderful tools and the tool chest to the chief at Linden, and says, well, guys, so how many would you like? And the chieftain, like blown away with enthusiasm, and goes, I want two for everybody in the village. And the alien goes, whoa, two for everyone in the village. And the chieftain goes, yeah, if we only have one, we'll be super greedy with it and we will be afraid to break things. But if we have two, it'll be fine. We'll use them all the time. And so the alien checks his inventory, goes, well, these guys in Linda and Pyrrhus, They didn't take very many, so it turns out I have more than expected. I've got enough for each of you to have two, and a few left over." And then the chieftain goes, "Great, I'll take those as extra for inventory." And then he asked the alien, "Now, when everybody else comes back to the village, I want you to show them everything you showed us." And and so when everybody comes back to the village, the alien gives the presentation of how all of the wonderful tools work, and he even lets everybody try out all the tools. The chieftain insists, "Let everybody try, let everybody try." And of course, there's lots of laughter as the little kids and clumsy people are trying to use these things they've never used before. And uh, once the alien leaves, though, the chieftain notices that even though he has access to these wonderful new tools, that he still has a tendency to go back and use the tools that were native to him, that he knew best. And so he goes to one of his village elders one day and he gives him all five of his old tools: the hammer stones, the hand axe, the stone flakes, the bone needles, and the wooden spears. And he goes, "Hey, you know, I I know that I don't need these anymore, but I'm having a hard time. My hand still aches to grab these first. So I'm going to give them to you, and I want you to only give them to me if I can convince you why I should have them and why these will work better than the new tools. And only if I can convince you, then you give them to me. Otherwise, keep them away." And and as time goes by, he notices that same tendency in all of the tribe members, that a lot of people like to use their old tools. They're more familiar and comfortable. So what he decides to do is he hosts creates a new tradition in the workshop, or in the tribe, so that all people come together on Fridays and they trade notes about what it's like to use the new tools and what they're learning about how they're possible, and they trade information. And because of this, it takes Linden only 1 million years, so 2 million years faster, to evolve into the Bronze Age. And this story is a beautiful metaphor to juxtapose with the visual that's in front of you around liberating structures. So, liberating structures, if you compare them to the five sort of traditional tools that make up most meetings, the five traditional tools are presentation, status reports, managed discussions, themed brainstorms, and open or unstructured discussions. All five of these old tools tend to not involve a whole lot of people, and also distribute control. Either with a presentation, control is basically all in the person's hands controlling the presentation, like me right now, versus status reports, where we sort of trade control, but it's still quite limited, and managed discussions that are really dependent on somebody sort of in the middle of the discussion managing the flow of information. And then themed brainstorms are much more open. A lot of people are able to participate, but there's not a whole lot of control. Controls actually sort of goes out of the window, um, very much like an open discussion, which is just a sort of free for all. It's like the WWF of conversation styles. It's the Royal Rumble. Just anybody jumps in, and whatever happens sort of happens. No holds barred. Whereas liberating structures, if you notice over there on the top right, has this particular quality in that it is able to involve and include effectively everybody. Think of this call, for example. Everybody has had a chance to talk to somebody in the context of this call, and the control is distributed. Everybody has the opportunity via that participation to affect agency on how the conversation is going. And so this is a really good visualization and story to sort of juxtapose liberating structures versus these five sort of Stone Age meeting formats. And they probably did, in fact, exist in the Stone Age. They've been with us that old. Very much like hierarchy or centralization, they are organic habits that it's easy to fall into, and using new tools like DAOing and liberating structures requires some amount of energy and skillfulness to learn. So, to give you a little bit more of a theoretical underpinning about why we want to use liberating structures, on the next two slides, and the link is also in the Gravity channel if you want to get directly into the slides themselves, are the principles of liberating structures. Now, the principles of liberating structures are a little bit different than than many other principles. And they were actually um, discovered after people had been using liberating structures for some time. So basically, in places that liberating structures have been practiced regularly, we noticed that there is a tendency to, and I'm just going to focus on the column on the left to sort of simplify things and get us back into interaction space. Liberating structures have a tendency of enabling us to include and unleash everyone, practice deep respect for people and local solutions, build trust as you go, learn by failing forward, practice self-discovery within a group, amplifying freedom and responsibility, emphasizing possibilities, believe before you see, invite creative destruction to enable innovation, engaging in seriously playful curiosity, and never starting without a clear purpose. So if you look at that list of principles and you go, wow, those sound like great things, I would love to have them. The good news is all you have to do is regularly practice with liberating structures, make use of them in your meetings and interactions, and you will sort of automatically get those benefits in the principle list. Now, this probably brings up the trickiest question. We've been practicing with liberating structures already for 5 weeks. As you can tell, it's very easy for you guys to use liberating structures. And it's actually harder to explain what liberating structures are. But these 5 attributes give us an idea of the most important factors. So, liberating structures are microstructures, meaning that they are these patterns of interaction, like wicked questions that we just used. And included in each one of those patterns of interactions is an allocation of time and steps. So, time boxes and a set of steps that we follow. Some direction on how to configure groups in this last wicked questions that was in these pairs before we came back all together. It'll give you some guidance on how to distribute in participation. And some structures, like if you remember helping heuristics that we did the very first practice session, helping heuristics had these different roles that you split into, and that's how we distribute participation into those roles. Some advice on how to arrange space and also to collect materials. Some liberating structures have visual aids that are associated with them. And if we were in 3D physical space, this might tell us to move the chairs over here and in those group spaces, or to stand up while we do it. And last but most importantly, liberating structures always include some form of invitation, prompt, or question that helps spark the interaction. So these are the 5 attributes of each liberating structure. And once you get the gist of how these things sort of work together, you'll notice that you tend to spend your time much more focused on the allocation of time and steps and the invitation itself. Invitations or coming up with good prompts for interactions is probably the hardest part of liberating structures. So in closing, liberating structures are these sort of communication algorithms that you can use to sort of code or program interactions, conversations in advance, or you can use them on the fly to suggest what might be helpful at any time within the context of any meeting. And there's lots more to say about how to use them, learn how to use them. There's a particular tool that is that you can download via this link called the Liberating Structures Selection Matchmaker. And that'll give you some good prompts to help to learn and pair the right structure with what you want to accomplish. But most importantly, liberating structures are tools that demand practice. So you get good at them by using them. And the more you use them, the better you get at them, and the more natural they sort of can become to you. So in keeping with this practice, what I'd like to do is move us on to the next structure that we can actually get in and interact with, and that is integrated autonomy. So if you imagine that we use this first structure, the development of this wicked question, um, that whole pattern is about generating a question that makes us sort of think and figure out how to go from either or type of thinking, but to put things in relationship of both and. Integrated autonomy then is really a procedure about how we can answer that wicked question. So um, I'm going to invite you guys to split back into the same groups, the same pairing, and to work through effectively this visualization. If you want, we can just duplicate the slide and or triplicate the slide so that both groups can just grab a slide and answer the questions in the order that you see. So first, answer the question. So, what's the rationale for that A side of our wicked question? In the wicked question of Wonka, right? What's the rationale for taking our time to learn? Um, and on the Z side, what's the rationale for that? What's the rationale for learning quickly? What are the advantages to both of these different aspects? And then for our third question, come up with actions, ideas, answer the question, how might we boost A? So how might we get more taking our time to learn perhaps deeply? And then for our fourth question, how might we boost Z? So what might we do in order to increase the speed or frequency, accelerate our learning? And then look for the middle ground and identify what modifications, creative ideas, and actions would help us boost both A and Z at the same time. So it's good that you work through these questions in this order. Document as you go. It'll help everybody out and create artifacts of our learning. Is there any questions about the nuts and bolts about how this structure, integrated autonomy, works? All right. Then Bianca, Juan Carlos, I once more invite you guys to jump over into a side channel and work through these questions. We've got about 15 minutes to go before we wrap up this session, so that'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes per question, and just work through them and see what comes out on the other side in question 5.
I think we could start like typing the wicked question, so then we can visualize it and then make it easier. Like I don't know if you could do it, Lynn. So since I'm recording, it would be easier for me. If you share the screen and type it.
And it might be interesting to start with the other wicked question that you had come up with, Lean. You're on mute, but
I think they were very similar. Slow pace or taking your time versus pressure. And then, yeah, the brief space. But I think taking it easy, it's okay. Lots of time. And then, hey, there's a clock ticking here.
cool. Well, I'm going to stop bothering you guys and let you work through your questions.
Yeah, thank you. Mm.
All right, Zipti, do you have a
I feel like
idea?
we could have like some kind of control pressure, like not a pressure like goes, very yeah. And I think that's also a healthy point, like having a control pressure in if we have like a call of 1 hour, then have some moments of pressure, but keep the slow pace also.
You mean in a 1 hour session you have them both?
Yeah, like you could, yeah, like normally you can have like pressure that can be dangerous, like it's like pressure, like, oh, I have a deadline, and then this is happening, and then you carry with this pressure days over days over days over days. So I think that pressure is not healthy. But then having like some kind of pressure, like right now, like I was feeling before, like putting in the spot, which it's a pressure, but it's not like I'm going to be anxious or anything. It's just like a little bit of pressure that is healthy.
Mhm.
And I think it can at the same time go with the slow pace, like the vibe can be slow pace, but then you have these little moments of boosting the pressure. What do you think?
Yep, I agree. And then maybe, yeah, just for the how can we boost the slow pace, not wanting to do too much in 1 hour.
Yeah.
So even taking out more stuff than putting extra stuff. Yeah, I'm talking a bit as a facilitator slash teacher here, but it's better, I think, to not be too optimistic on where you will get with the group, and then maybe have some backup exercises that you can just show up, in case the group finishes faster. But how can we boost slow pace?
Yeah, even having a small like 2-3 minutes meditation at the beginning or at the end of the meeting, I think it probably at the beginning it's even better because it set up the slow pace mode.
At 2-3 minutes of what? Of?
Like a little meditation, like
Yes,
get
yeah.
grounded.
Yeah, I love those too. Yeah. Or in real life, a bit of an icebreaker.
Yeah.
A bit of an energizer. Yeah. It slows down the process maybe a bit, but it also gives energy, and the meditation does the same. Like it slows down a bit, but at the same time it releases so much energy afterwards.
Yeah, and I feel also it connects the teams so much. Like we were doing it at the TC since the beginning, and asking even weird questions like, "What's your favorite dinosaur?" or stuff like that. Then you get like more the people you are working with, and it's very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And how can we boost pressure? Or did you want to add something to the slow pace?
No, I was just going to say the same.
The boosts.
Yeah.
Having a. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, yeah, sometimes, like, like if we make and do like you say the name, like, and we kind of do it on the TC, like when we do the intros and stuff, like, I'll pass it to Lynn, then you are in the spot. So, then you're talking. Like, if we say, like,
Yeah.
probably you don't talk, right? If we just pass it to someone and then no one talks.
Yeah,
Even sometimes like people is like shy to start, like,
yeah,
and when someone starts, then everyone keeps going.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's the pressure of being engaged and activated in the learning, not being left out. Hey, you have to be present here, huh? Don't you
Yeah.
get as well and get in? Yeah, 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 and get lazy here. Yeah, uh, yeah. I used to be. I don't know if you're familiar with a structure called Universal Design for Learning, and we had an international speaker. It's an international framework in our school at some point, and she was teaching us this technique where the students, especially in large groups, where the students would have to write a name on a piece of paper, and then a number, sorry, a number on a piece of paper, and then you also had to write down that number. And then, she would try to interact with the students. It's horrible. So there was a big pile of all those numbers in front on her desk. And then whenever she would ask a question, she would pull a number and that person had to answer. It's horrible. That creates a lot of pressure. I tell you.
But I think it's fun. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have the chance to experience that, but it sounds fun.
Yeah, I don't know. The good thing was that she also, and that's a technique I applied later, that indeed, like, if you give the students a mini exercise or a mini task, or like today, right, brainstorm a bit, make laundry on good learning space, for example, and then she would pull a number, and then you could decide, like, you made the brainstorm with 2, 3, 4 students, with the fellow students, and then you could say like it's you can pass on the number, like you're the one speaking in plenary here. So at least that it softened it a little bit, but wow. That's some interactive teaching there.
Yeah, totally.
A little pressure. um, yeah. Mm. And for the rest, yeah, I think setting a clear goal. We're finishing at 9, for example, like, and that's it. um, or this is where we want to go, this is where we want to reach. uh, and setting a high bar maybe also puts pressure, like, hey, we are really focused on this, and we don't we don't we want to achieve something together, and we
Yeah.
set a high bar for ourselves.
Even at the time of distributing that, like, who wants to pick that? I mean, because I feel like it's not healthy to say names, because if someone doesn't want and they are on the spot, this is too much pressure. But then just saying, like, you have some different tasks, and then just say, what about who wants to take care of, I don't know, Twitter? And then it's open at the space, but someone just pick it, and then they can. I mean, they have a little bit of pressure, because they have to be accountable with that, but at the same time they choose that, so it's not so much pressure. Like your
Yeah,
boss telling you, "Hey, you need to do that," then it's way worse.
yeah.
Well, gang, now that our other subgroup is back, this is integrated autonomy. So, Wonka, Bianca, what did you guys come up with in your happy medium space?
Bianca, would you like to start?
Sure. We did on the 80. Oh, yeah, right there. So, what's the rationale for taking time learning or taking time to learn? And what's the rationale for doing it fast? So, for taking time to learn, we thought about how can we boost it. So, intrinsic motivation, organization, not doing everything yourself. That's like delegation, that like tell people, so you delegate and then you're gonna have more time, and then you have more time to study and like improve that kind of stuff. And how to boost doing it fast. So you make sure you understood what you're learning, or like what you're reading or listening. You like really putting your attention to it. So you make sure you understood. Receiving support from people. So have like good mentors and people that can help you get in a way faster, so you don't need to try all the ways to find one that it's better for you. You can learn from people's experience. And mind maps that can help you visualize, and maybe having a good visualization is gonna help you doing it faster. If like you're studying, then you can do your own mind map, and then if you have to go back there, you don't need to read everything again because you already have the mind map, so it's easier. And what modifications, creative ideas, the 5. So we thought of creating schemes, so I can have one scheme that not necessarily works for Juan, but he has his own, so like create a scheme. To-do lists, so write down things that you need to do and get done, and have good teachers, and so it's like people open for questions. Have some you know you can reach out and they're gonna help you, and not doing it alone. I think it was it. If one wants to compliment me.
Yeah, I think that we learn really fast when we learn collectively. I think that's like the good thing of the practice of the book clubs. Like everyone reads the same. Maybe not everyone had a full understanding of what they read, but when like you share, you can learn a lot from other people. So yeah, I think like having a community is really cool, and also having someone that can help you answer your questions.
Word. Thank you guys. And Lean and Zepti, do you guys want to give the breakdown for your exploration of this wicked question?
Do you want me to go ahead, Septi, or do you want to do it?
They want. I take the other one. If you want, you can take this one.
Okay. Yeah, so I wrote it down on 79. I made another slide. So how can we boost the slow pace? Not planning too much in 1 hour. So make sure that you don't put too much in a meeting. The same, right? Don't put too much in it. Start with a small meditation or an energizer or a mini check-in question, a favorite dinner to create connection. And also we felt that it can release some energy afterwards. So that it's good to start slow, but then you can speed up faster. And then how can we boost pressure? The passing the word with calling names. We found that making sure that people were engaged in the call, that it actually helps to call out on people by name, a little bit popcorn style or passing on the word, but then so that people have to speak, which creates pressure to be engaged in a call. Trying to reach a goal and setting a high bar for your team, like, hey, making people accountable also for what they signed up for or what you want to achieve with your team and the product you're working on maybe or something that you're working on together. What modifications actions can boost them both? We answered that one in the beginning, I think. A clear timing with a little bit of pressure, but still a vibe of slowing down. So that's where we were with the last question, the middle question. Do you want to add something, Zepti?
Yeah, those are the ones like we discussed, and we are already 3 minutes over the top of the hour.
All right. So voila, that has been our practice session for both Liberating Structures and Deep Democracy. And today we practiced with wicked questions. We got some of the theoretical background behind Liberating Structures, and we practiced with integrated autonomy. So thanks so much, guys, for your time, attention, and energy.